All right, welcome back. So this video is going to show you how to create a frequency polygon using Microsoft Excel. So in my previous videos, we created a frequency distribution, and then from the frequency distribution, which was a good way to organize our raw data, um, we then created a histogram, which was a visual representation of what our frequency distribution was showing us. Well, in this video, we're going to do a frequency polygon, which is just another visual way of showing our data. So, in order to do this, we need to have a frequency distribution already done. I've done that in the last two videos, so if you have any questions on how to do it, just go back to those videos and take a quick look. So, I'm going to just take my patient ages. Want that. Control C. I'm going to just paste it in below here. And I'm going to also take my frequencies, but I'm not going to put it in the next column. I'm going to leave a column blank. And in here, I'm going to create another column called midpoints, midpoint. And here I'm going to put the midpoint of each class. So in order to find the midpoint of a class, what we need to do is we need to take the lower bounds of two consecutive classes and find the average of that. So we're going to add up our lower bounds and then divide by 2. That's going to give us our midpoint. So for our first class, it's going to be our lower boundary of 0 plus our lower boundary of 20. We're going to add those two together. We'll get 20. Divide by 2. Our midpoint is 10. We'll do the same process here. So our lower bound is 20. Lower bound of the next class is 40. Add those together, we'll get 60. When we divide by 2, our midpoint is 30. Do the same thing for the next one. 40 plus 60 gives us 100. Divided by 2 gives us a midpoint of 50. And now you can probably already start to see our midpoints going up by 20 each time. So I can just put in my next midpoint of 70. If I wanted to confirm that though, 60 plus 80 is 140. Can divide by 2. That'll give me my midpoint of 70. Same thing then for the next one, 80 plus 100 was 180. Divided by 2 gives us a midpoint of 90. And then for our last one, we can't do the exact same thing. We do know that if we had another class, our low bound or our lower bound for that class would be 120. So we can use the same type of pattern to figure that out. It would have been 100 plus 120, so 220 divided by 2 would give us 110. Or we could just say, oh, our midpoint's going up by 20. 90 plus 20 is just going to give us 110. Either way is fine. It's going to format that with a border. Perfect. So now we're ready to go. And the reason I put the midpoint in between here as our middle column is I'm going to use the midpoint and the frequency to create my frequency polygon. In Excel, the first column you select, it recognizes that as your X values when it graphs it. So our midpoint is going to be our X values, and our Y values are going to be our frequency. So it's going to make little points. Our first one here would be at an X value of 10, Y value of 13. Now, the only thing is, frequency polygons, we like to have them anchored right to the x-axis. So we like to see those lines go right down to the x-axis. So what we have to do here select all our data. We're going to leave the titles alone, but we're going to select the rest of the data. We're going to use Control X to cut it, and we're going to paste it just one row lower. So Control X, and I'm just going to put this one row lower, Control V. And this is so I can put a starting anchor point. Here, my starting X value is going to be 0, and my frequency is going to be 0 there. And that's going to anchor my frequency polygon at the beginning, right to my X-axis. I'm also going to do the same thing at the end here. My highest, the next value here, my next lower limit would have been 120. So that's what I'm going to use. I could use my midpoint of 130. The reason I didn't do it up here is I did not want to go into negative values and do a negative 10. So just for consistency, I'm going to keep it like that. 120. And once again, we have 0 frequencies there. The only reason we're doing that is so that it anchors it. I'm going to select my data, including my labels. And then once I've done that, I'm going to use the chart feature in Excel. So you can find that at the top. If you look at the menus, it's under the Insert menu. And then I can just go over here. I want recommended charts. I can either click on recommended, or I can click on this little button on the bottom right. I'm going to click on that. Bottom right, it brings up a scatter plot for me, which is what I want. This is what my frequency polygon is going to look like. Perfect. It's anchored C00 and 120. We've anchored it down. It just makes it look a little bit more complete. I'm going to click OK. Perfect. And now all we have to do is format it. Remember to add in some axis titles. You can add in data labels as well. And then go down to chart style, and you can pick out what chart style you like. I'm going to pick, oh, I like this one. So I'm going to pick that one. There's my style. All right. And then now all we do is we're going to just change our titles. So patient pages. My y-axis is just going to be my frequency. And my x-axis is going to be ages. And now we've created our frequency polygon. Hope you enjoyed the video. And our last video that we're going to look at is creating a cumulative frequency polygon. So that'll be the next video. Take care.